After 6 years since that incident at Bersaba, my parents got a divorce and my mother's sister and I moved to a rental house in the Libanonweg, Lelydorp. It was far from where we used to live, but at the time what my mother could afford. From the main road, when you looked at the plot, you only saw an old wooden gate. The house itself was so far inside that it was barely visible from the street. It was an old green and white two-story house, built the old way with the kitchen and the bathroom laying outside the house. The plot itself was deep in the forest and surrounded by rusted barbed wires. The front of the plot was overgrown with trees and grass, between which there was a path leading to our house. The right and back side of the plot was covered with tall forest, and on the left there was a 2-meter walkway leading to a cemetery. My mother had no problem with this. She strongly believed that if you don't buy the things, they will do the same. And to be honest, we didn't have much choice because of our financial situation at the time. Shortly after moving, the first thing we noticed was that all the street lights on the street used to work, except the one in front of our gate. In our turn, we placed our own lamp, but we kept it off mostly, so the gate and the path to our house usually remained dark. We didn't have much of a problem with darkness, because we were always inside before the sun went down and only turned the light on when we used to wake up early to get ready for school. Until this evening. We left the light on because my mom was going to work late hours. My sister and I took a bath around 5 and put some food in the house so we could lock up and play inside. My mother said that she would be home by 11. Around 12, when she wasn't there yet, my sister peeped out of the window and saw that the front gate was open. She was sure that my mother had closed the gate behind her. Her first thought was that my mother had come back, but there were no car lights. As a 14-year-old, she blamed it on the wind. Although it was an old heavy gate that half rested on the ground, so the wind would have to lift it and then blow it open, which didn't seem possible. At a certain moment, my sister looked at me and asked me to go close the gate. At the time, everything seemed like a good idea except getting out of the house to do it. But we knew, if my mother came back and the gate was still open, she would think that we had gone out and that would get us in trouble. My sister reassured me that the light was on and that she would stand outside and watch me do it. Honestly, that gave me a certain comfort, and I brought myself to do it. I quickly walked out and said to myself that I will not look left and right and I will act quickly. Fortunately, it was also a full moon, so it wasn't that dark outside. Soon I started to walk towards the gate. Out of fear, walking had become close to running. When I got there, I closed the gate with a lot of effort and started to walk back. Just as I passed the path leading to the cemetery, I heard the gate open again. I could clearly hear how the gate was still on the ground but was being pushed by something. Without turning around, I ran as fast as possible towards the house. When I got there, my sister did not know what had happened. She quickly stopped me and asked me to walk in backwards. I tried to tell her, but she didn't believe me, and the gate was too far to see that it was actually pushed open. She kept preventing me from getting in and telling me that she would tell my mother if I didn't listen to her. Just then, the lamp near the gate started flickering. We stormed into the house. Since that night, we started hearing strange noises all over the house. Sounds as if separate people were walking upstairs at the same time, while we were all downstairs, or as if someone was pulling planks from under the house. Things got so bad that they also started to stand out in my mother's eyes. Fortunately, we moved after a year. When we moved, my mother told the landlord the reason for the move. Only then he found it necessary to tell that the first owner of this house was his father and that he had hanged himself in the house a few years ago. He was buried in the yard near the front gate. The reason he decided to rent the house is because he himself had experienced the things, but with them things got physical. I still think about that night and try to make sense of it. The biggest question that I still have is, why did I have to walk in backwards? And did it all start because I didn't do it?